Getting cast in a big movie is any actor's dream, but sometimes actors decide to stand up for themselves and the hard work they put into making these projects and end up losing their spot in the movie as a result. I'm Mackenzie, and today I'm going to be listing the top 10 celebrities who were fired after asking for more money. In at number 10, Hilary Duff. Hilary Duff was on top of the Disney World for years, starring in the hit show Lizzie McGuire. But after the massive success of the 2003 Lizzie McGuire movie, she demanded more. Since the movie was such a hit, Disney asked for a second Lizzie McGuire movie to be made, but the movie stalled because of negotiations. Suzanne Duff, Hilary Duff's mother and manager, says she asked the promised bonus to be paid immediately, but Disney did not want to oblige. Duff also said that Hilary was getting lowballed for the Lizzie McGuire series, and they were paying Hilary $35,000 per episode, even though other networks were offering six figures. Because of these contract negotiations, both the TV series and plans for the movie sequel ended. And I am so disappointed because Lizzie McGuire movie is literally one of the best movies of all time, and I would die to see a second. It is so great. In at number 9, Kirstie Alley. 1982 Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan opened with a young Kirstie Alley playing the character Saavik. We eventually learned that Alley is a trainee and it was all a simulation, but those moments with Alley on screen made a deep impact on the whole movie. The character of Saavik appears twice more in the franchise, but not played by Alley. When asked why she was booted from the sequels, Alley told StarTrek.com in 2016 that it was because of money. Apparently she didn't ask for more money, instead the franchise offered her less money for a sequel, which is like basically unheard of. She said, quote, "That never made sense to me, like you're not paying me as much for the first one and it's a bigger role." She claimed she tried to inquire about the lowball, but instead of answers, she was just cut. In at number 8, Crispin Glover. In 1985's Back to the Future, Crispin Glover played Marty McFly's dad, George McFly, and even though the movie was uber successful, Glover did not appear in the sequel. His absence in the second film even led to a lawsuit. The story is that Glover was unhappy with the script for the second movie and demanded the same salary as the film's lead, Michael J. Fox, who made $1 million. But in 2012, Glover says that was a lie, and he was only offered $150,000 for the sequel, which was half the amount offered to stars who had similar sized roles in the film. He also said when he tried to negotiate, the offer was actually decreased by $25,000. The film ended up casting someone else in Glover's role, but put a mold of Glover's face on this actor's face. Then Glover sued the film for using his likeness and got $760,000. In at number 7, Bruce Willis. The Expendables franchise is full of huge stars like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jason Statham, to name a few. Bruce Willis joined the cast in the 2010 movie, along with a 2012 sequel where he picked up a larger role. And even though he was set to star in the third film, it didn't happen, and Harrison Ford took the role instead. Later it was reported that monetary disputes were the reason for the change. The Hollywood Reporter exposed, quote, "Willis was offered $3 million for 4 days of consecutive work, and he allegedly demanded a pay bump to $4 million, $1 million per day, but the studio did not oblige and Ford was cast within days." In at number 6, Marcus Chong. Marcus Chong, who played Tank in The Matrix, was one of the only members of the cast to survive. However, he didn't show up in the sequels, causing suspicion. The franchise wanted Chong to be a part, however he claims he was offered too little. In Chong's own 45-minute YouTube documentary called The Marcus Chong Story, he says he was offered $250,000 to appear in 2003's The Matrix Reloaded and The Matrix Revolutions, but he wanted $1 million. The film said no, so strangely enough Chong came back asking for $500,000 or to work for free. Didn't really understand that part, but apparently the franchise was done with the games and decided to just cut him instead. Halfway at number 5, Sean Connery. Sean Connery is known by many as the best James Bond, and fans were devastated when he was quickly replaced. He first played the role of 007 in 1962, then he played in 4 more movies before he decided to ask for more money from the franchise. By the time Connery starred in 1967's You Only Live Twice, for which he was paid $750,000 plus a 25% share of merchandising, he was apparently just kinda bored with the role and took a risky move by asking for more money. He demanded $1 million, but the franchise declined. As a result, George Lazenby was given the role, to the dismay of fans. After that film was hit with terrible reviews, Connery was asked back and he made $1.25 million for 1971's Diamonds Are Forever. And at number 4, Maggie Rhee. Maggie starred on The Walking Dead right from the first season and was a staple in the show, but in season 9, she disappeared from the show, leaving many to wonder why. It was later reported that money was the reason. The show did not meet her monetary demands, so she was cut from season 9 and went on to play in ABC's action dramedy Whiskey Cavalier. But apparently her time with the show was already on the rocks, and she was bored of playing the same character for 8 years. Apparently she also wanted to explore comedy and more happy projects. In the end, since she had not been killed off the show, just written off, she did come back for the 11th and final season. In at number 3, Suzanne Somers. Suzanne Somers starred in ABC's Three's Company, which was one of the most successful sitcoms ever. The show chronicled 2 women living with a man in a house in Santa Monica and followed their antics. After a few years, Somers decided to request a raise for this successful show, especially since learning her male counterpart on the show, John Ritter, was paid $150,000 per episode, while she was only making $30,000 per episode. Apparently, when she confronted the network about this, they offered her a $5,000 per episode raise, but that wasn't enough. So she didn't show up for the filming and was fired. She was then replaced on the show with a look-alike character. Apparently her firing was a part of a bigger picture, and there were other women who wanted more money from the network, so they decided to make an example out of Somers by cutting her. In at number 2, Terrence Howard. Marvel fans first saw Terrence Howard playing the role of James Rhodey Rhodes, who later became War Machine. But then in Iron Man 2, Howard was not in the film, rather Don Cheadle played Rhodey in the MCU after that. Howard did not keep his anger to himself and openly discussed why he was axed. In 2013 on Watch What Happens Live, Howard told Andy Cohen that when it was time to make Iron Man 2, Marvel only wanted to pay him 1/8 of what they owed him. Howard even reached out to Robert Downey Jr., who did not offer any support. Howard even claimed he took a $1 million pay cut to get Downey Jr. cast in his role, to which Marvel denied. In the end, Howard retracted many of his callouts and claimed him and Downey Jr. were on good terms again. And finally, number 1, Robert Duvall. Duvall first became critically acclaimed through his role as Tom Hagen in The Godfather. He even earned an Academy Award nomination for his work in the film and starred in the second movie as well. But he did not make it into part 3 of the film, apparently due to money. Speaking in 2004, Duvall explained that he not only left because he wanted more money than he was making, he was more so just disgusted at how much more some other actors were making. Saying, quote, "I said I would work easily if they paid Al Pacino twice what they paid me, that's fine. But not 3 or 4 times, which is what they did." In 2010, he explained he had no regrets about not appearing in the film because of the poor reviews that it got. So that's all for the list, guys. Please let me know your thoughts below. Before I go, I'm gonna shout out comments from celebrities that secretly dated each other. MLG Gamer said, "I'm a little surprised that they had a relationship, Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson, because I thought I heard that they didn't like each other on set. I'm a bit confused, then again they are rumors, so take it with a grain of salt." You are right, I actually did hear that rumor that they didn't like each other, so I guess there's just rumors swirling all about they either loved each other or hated each other. Nobody knows. Then Beyond Memory Old Movie said, "Daniel Craig is so handsome. He and Rachel are such a great looking couple. I wish them many years of happiness. I love them so much. They look fabulous together and I love how they're just both on the same page about things." Then someone else said, "Daniel and Rachel is the only relationship I know on this list." Yeah, there were definitely quite a few I didn't know happened, so that was interesting. Alright guys, all for the list today. Thanks so much for sticking around if you made it all the way here. If you liked the video and you want to see more, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel below. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith. Make sure to check us out on social media, and I'll catch you all in the next one.